So back what you previously said, man, with the like your node not running while you're away on a hunting trip. Like back then in 2020, it would have been like 6,000 gala a day that you were losing, wouldn't it?
I think it was even more than that. I think I missed out on a couple million gala.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
No joke. So, yeah, it definitely hurt when you think about it, looking back on it. But, as of now, it's like, it got worked out. Everything's fine. No biggie. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, if you don't think about that gala that you lost like at 8th, well, then it's probably not that bad.
Yeah, I lost more gala doing a lot of other things. So who knows? I bought a vault for 23 million gala. So that's a Miranda's vault. So that's just sitting there doing nothing. So we'll see what happens.
Are they still going to use the vaults, man? Because that was tied in through Polyant, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think. I mean, they can still use the vault and not have to make it through Polyant. I'm sure they will, but how they're going to use that, who knows? Because by the time Miranda's comes out, how are they going to? They've changed so much just in the time frame of what they're going to do and how they're going to utilize Gala as a token, as a utility token. I have no clue. Just wait and see on that stuff. So.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. Like back in the day, like Polyant was like a big talking point with the different things they were trying to implement in game, and I'm pretty sure they own one of the Citadels as well, don't they? I think they were the first one to buy the Citadel of the Sun. Is that correct?
800 grand or 820 grand, I think, something like that they bought. But I heard a rumor that they sold it, and I didn't follow up on that. It's just a rumor. I don't know if you heard that.
No, I haven't heard about that one. When I first got in, man, I think it was around just under 7,000 gala a day is what the node was producing. And I remember spending I think the biggest purchase I made in gala at the time off the gala store was like 35,000 gala for a hitching post. So I always kick myself over that because, at the time when it hit eighth in AUD, it was like $1 AUD. So I essentially spent 35 grand if I waited for a hitching post.
It's rough, dude. Trust me, I know. Yeah. I know. We bought a lot of stuff in that bull run. There was a lot of gala spent. So, yeah. I mean, it's part of the deal, right? We didn't get into this it wasn't my full allocation. I wasn't putting everything into gala. It was, stuff we earned from the nodes that we were hedging into the gaming side. We were super excited about the games. I mean, The Walking Dead. Did you go to Galaverse? Did you go to any of those?
No, I didn't, man. I missed out because of COVID and everything. They weren't letting people fly out and all sorts of stuff here.
Oh yeah, you were super locked down there. You weren't able to go anywhere.
Yeah, we're Australia locked down.
Yeah,
you guys had freedoms.
Well, sort of. We definitely had some, but we had it was a heyday down there. Like there were so many things. We're super excited. We bought a lot of stuff. So, and now we're just waiting and excited to see about using them. I mean, we got some play tests coming up. I think Walking Dead this month. I'm excited about finally getting spider tanks going. Got quite a few of those running. So that's fun. So my son loves spider tanks.
Well, I ended up buying, I think I have around 20 whole tanks. So, I bought the, tops, bottoms, skins, and then toppers.
Yeah.
And then I found out later that the skins and toppers don't actually earn. They just buff your tank. And then they brought out their drop pods. And I was like, fuck, I hate that idea because, I had so many, tanks for all different rarities.
Oh, yeah.
And I was holding 5 full tanks, commons, uncommons, all that sort of stuff. And it just didn't make sense to put it in a drop pod when you only get one allocated per account.
Yeah.
But now that you can buy them, I think they're still a little bit on the high end.
Well, I mean, they're just telling you to buy more stuff to put your tank out there that you already bought. So in my eyes, that was the first thing that came down that really kind of pissed me off when Gala was moving down this route was the drop pods. And I said it in the Discords. I was like, this is like, you're now just, you're squeezing us for more money, right? We already put out, and a lot of us who put out money and bought those ancients, right? You're 10K, 20K, 30K for a chicken. And now you want me to buy drop pods to be able to put those out there? Like, are you kidding? Like, what are we doing here? Like, we've already given you a shit ton of money. Now let us play the game. Let us, let other people play the game. I'm being super generous right now. I've got people that are playing because I can't play all my tanks, so I've got other people playing in different accounts, and I can't transfer silk to pay them, so I'm actually paying out of my own pocket what they're earning in silk, and I'm just having everything else kind of go into my account. So I'm providing a lot of players and everything else out there, and just taking the hit on my end, for trying to get this game going, because it is a fun ass game. I really like the game. So
well, there was a lot of things that, like, I enjoy the game as well, man, but at its current state, I can't play it. Just for, like, morally, I can't. I start playing and it starts pissing me off because I remember everything, like you said, what was promised.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not what it is now. Like, even if you go back to, like, I don't want to be too hard on Gala because I do love the project and I like GalaGames. But, like, even the first NFTs, the chicken tanks, they were meant to be the OG tank. They were actually meant to produce more silk. Well, I was running around because I think I've got like an epic chicken, and I ran around with an epic chicken. Then I used my wife's epic shotgun, and they were producing the same amount of silk anyway for the wins anyway. So, like, there's so many different little intrinsic things that they said would be in the game that it's actually not.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of promises, and it hasn't. Even the gap between like how much silk you make for ancient and then how much you make for legendary, like the amount of victory points that you'll get was like 20,000 for the first win of the day for an ancient, and then for like I think for a legendary tank, because I got a legendary cannon set up, I think I was earning like maybe 250 to 400 victory points or something
Versus 20,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and the gap in price between ancient and legendary in the store, it doesn't justify that amount of difference in victory points.
No. And I think they just recently adjusted it, but I totally agree with you, man. Like, it's twofold in that process. They have their end that they're trying to create a ecosystem that is, one, playable, but also be a part of this play and earn, play to earn, however you want to go about it, which is difficult because it takes into an account of a whole new ecosystem in a whole new environment of being in crypto, and it's a tough road to hoe. But I mean, the people that have been around, like yourself and myself, definitely have gripes, when it comes down to the changes that are being made, especially with the amount of money that we put into the projects to help move them forward. So, I mean,
well, even with the distribution split, man, if you rent out your tank, it doesn't make sense because it was essentially meant to be like 80-20 or 70-30 as far as like more towards the owner of the tank. Well, like if I rent out my legendary stuff, I might only get like 0.8 silk for the day. Like they've probably made maybe 7-8 silk.
Oh, really? And that you're talking about in the
Yeah.
drop pod side, like throwing it out there in the drop pod? Yeah.
Yeah, in the drop pods.
Yeah. I do a lot with the Mafia and Timbo and all them, and they obviously are heavy in the tanks. Like, they love it. They're trying to put together this esports side. They were pushing it hard, and so he's been my go-to for information that comes through on the Spider Tank side, and he's and he is one of the guys out there that is the most positive people I know. Like,
yeah,
he could get kicked in the balls and be like, "That's okay, man. Yeah, I'll be okay in just a couple minutes. We're good. Let's do this." Like, you're just like, dude, like, he's great. He's such a good dude. And as this goes down, because he put a ton of money into Spider Tanks in the hopes that it was going to be an esports league, because he was an esports guy with Apex, and his buddy Deadly was I think he actually went to college for he played Rocket League for esports, right? And so they're heavy in it, and just the more and more all this stuff that kept coming out and kept changing, his positivity was still there, and it's but he's waning on the edge of, like, you can just hear it in his voice sometimes of, damn, when is this going to come back to what we're trying to do? We're trying to get this going. So even that guy, who's the most positive guy in the world, man.
Well, I had him on the podcast. He was my very first guest.
Oh, nice.
And like, I could tell how passionate he was, so I didn't want to get too negative about it because we're in a different headspace.
Yeah.
But a funny story about Timbo, though, like Gravy Gang Guild, I don't know, like if you played the earlier like alphas or betas or whatever they want to call them for spider tanks, but we started putting the GGG in the name.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we were the ones that ended up getting the Koreans to start putting core in their name. So they started seeing us everywhere, and we had some of the best players at the time. And then they started doing core, and then it become like a whole thing, having like guild tags in your like on your actual character, like on your tank name, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Timbo come in, like people just started going over the Mafia that was in playing spider tanks with us. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? What's the Mafia or the rest of it? So I was getting a little bit salty because I had people DMing me saying, oh, look, man, like Timboslice is cool. We're cruising over the Mafia for tanks. And I'm like, yeah, okay, no worries. And then once I spoke to him, man, like I could understand exactly why, like what he was doing, like all the rest of the stuff. Because, at first I thought it was just like a guild trying to, essentially grab as many people as they could from other guilds and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, man, he's a really nice guy. I like him a lot. So yeah, I hope that things do work out for him. Yeah, after the tanks.
Yeah, sorry, man. It will. He's got a lot of other stuff other than that going, so he'll be just fine. He's a smart guy too, so they'll be good. They're good to go.
Well, I know for myself, like I had around, I think 400 NFTs through Gala, which isn't a lot to some, but I ended up, after the spider tanks, man, I reckon I sold probably about 50 different NFTs for different games, because I was just like, if this is the way it's going to be for this game, well, then what's it going to be for Mirandus? Or I just don't want to get burnt too hard.
Oh, totally, dude. I mean, I don't blame anybody for doing that same thing. And it doesn't matter if you have one NFT or 10,000 NFTs, right? You're a part of this ecosystem. You're part of the Web3. Like, I feel like we're all trying to, work together to create this, blockchain gaming ecosystem and make it work, right? And so and I try to do that internally with anybody that I work with. Is I don't care. I don't care how much you own or what you have. Like, let's work together. Like, what do you need? I'll help you out. Let's do it. Like,
yeah, and that's the best way to be, man. And I wanted to help people out too, but the way that they've got it set up, just spider tanks alone, like there's no player allocation, and I'm not technical enough to do what you guys do, where you essentially making other accounts and then giving them the, I don't know, what would you call it, like the 2FA code exactly when they need it and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It just seems risky to me.
Well, I mean, you can set it up to where the only thing that they need is login. And so you can 2FA everything else, so they can't do anything other than log in and play the games, which is fine.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you can just switch that out. That's essentially what we do. You still have to sometimes, if it's because it's IP located. So if they log in and it's new login, you have to give the code gets emailed to you. So then you have to get that going. It's definitely a process. It's not sustainable for any kind of large scale operation that's going to go on until they implement some sort of rental. But in my eyes, like I didn't sell anything just because I still believe in the project with Gala, and I really want to see them go through with it. But I've definitely been focusing my energy on other projects in different ecosystems. Like we've been doing a lot of write-ups through ForgedInCrypto on a bunch of different gaming projects that are out there. So, and having a good time, man. Like there's some really fun stuff that's coming to the table. So.
Yeah, well, I was watching your podcast the other day, and if it's a channel or whatever you want to call it, because I know that everyone has a specific
title. I don't know what I call it. What it is, we get in there and talk shit. Who cares? Who knows?
What's the guy that works for you called again?
His tag is Betty ORB. I think
so
the young guy.
What does he like to be called, Betty?
That's why I call him. And he's got to tell the story of how he created the name, because it is what it is. His name's Blake. He's a good dude, young guy, but he's super knowledgeable in the gaming space and is really smart and up and coming kind of guy in the Web3 space. So he's fun. He does a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, he was playing some game, and it looked similar to I can't remember what the game's called, but it's like a third person. You're sort of walking through a city. It's like, remind me of like Diablo sort of vibes.
Champions Ascension. I think it was Champions Ascension. Yeah. That one, that's a cool one. The people that started it were from Big Time, which was another, gaming company out there. They've done a lot of stuff in the past. They just changed it over to Playa Labs, I think is what it is. So they They basically just changed it to Playa. They got a huge influx of cash, and they're literally dedicated to that one game. So now in that game, there's gonna be multiple other games throughout it, but they got a couple things going for them. One, they got a really tight knit community that are in there. They're not pushing things too hard too fast. They've got funding from outside, so they're not trying to fund internally with a bunch of NFT mints and that kind of stuff. And they're just steadily putting things out. Different gameplay. They just had a recent gameplay last week of updated stuff, which actually was right after Blake had played that one podcast you were listening to. So, but it looks fun. I think it's going to be a really exciting game in that ecosystem. It should be good. So.
Well, he was saying something about like it was like $20 or something to buy a character for the game.
So that one, I think you're thinking of the Magic, so the Treasure LOL, the Beacon game. That one is a different game. That looks more like Legends of Zelda, kind of ish.
Oh,
It
yeah.
has that vibe to it, right? That one is a dungeon crawler type of game, and it is. Yeah, so those ones, $20 to get in for an NFT on that one, maybe even cheaper on some of them. I think you can get in there for like $5 or $10. It's on the Arbitrum network. The Treasure.lol is the underlying like DAO, which has multiple other games with it. That's another exciting one that's out there. That's fun to kind of really awesome community, right? They really good community members that are tight knit again. But they're more of your AA games, right? They're not touting them to be AAA games. They're just trying to bring games in that people are having fun with and putting them out to the community. So, which I think it's a part of it, right? You don't always want to just play a AAA game. There's always other games that you're gonna dig into. So,
well, within saying that, man, like if you looked at Minecraft, you wouldn't think that that's a fucking AAA game. Like the graphics, like my son's obsessed with it. He's 8 years old, but he loves that game, and that like I can't remember what it grosses, but that's one of the highest grossing games as far as like in-game purchases.
Oh yeah,
it's up there with Fortnite.
Yeah,
and it's just like that game looks like not even a AA game to me.
Well, the Minecraft, that's my genesis story for getting into crypto in the first place, right? Like I told it before, but I'll tell you is I used to own a company we did some website development. We did a little software development. And one of my buddies that was working with me, he comes in the office. He goes, "Hey man, you got to check out this game. It's really cool. It's called Minecraft." He pulls it up. He shows it to me. I'm like, "That's the dumbest looking game ever." This is like 2012 or 13, right? And I'm like, nobody's going to play that crap. Like that's the worst looking game ever. And soon after that, he comes in, I don't remember exact time. It's probably like 2 days or a week or whatever. When he comes in, he's like, "All right, I got this. It's called Bitcoin, and you mine it, right? Like you go in here and you mine for these Bitcoins." I'm like, "Dude, that game is dumb. I don't want to know any more about this stupid Minecraft mining game." And so he's like, No, you don't get it." And so then he got me down the rabbit hole. We mined it for a little bit back then, lost everything in a Mt. Gox hack. But that kind of started my venture down crypto from the get-go, and dabbled in it for a while, and then got deep into it like 2016, 2017. So, but that's the Minecraft story.
I actually come in not long after you. I think Mt. Gox was already taken down at that point. And I remember at the time my wife ended up buying me a pretty cool birthday present. She brought me a gaming computer, and it had 2 GTX 680s in it running SLI.
Yeah.
And I heard my old man was actually telling me about Bitcoin. I'm like, "Oh, this sounds like bullshit." So I ended up getting on there. I downloaded all the client and all the rest of it, started mining. I'm looking at shit on the screen. I'm like, "I don't get this." But I just left it running. I don't even know like if it produced anything or what it done.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting, I think it was like a $1,400 power bill for the quarter. And my wife's like, "Turn that shit off." So I ended up, that was my story of Bitcoin. And then I pretty much didn't get into it again until roughly when Cardano released.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because
was that like end of 2017, I think, or 18, right in there?
I think it might have been pre-2017, because I remember I lost 98% in the dump around 2017.
Okay.
And because it was like a 98% dump. So I think it was around then, maybe a year or two before then. I'm not too sure. But I remember watching Charles Hoskinson, how he gets up with the whiteboard and all the rest of it. And he was talking about Cardano and what it was going to be and what his vision was with like the tokenomics and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, well, this guy knows his shit. So that's when I ended up getting into it.
Yeah, well, those are the times, right? I remember definitely hit hard in the 2017-18 dip, but that was a good learning experience for me. So yeah, brought us
I'm
right.
actually going to look up when Cardano released because I can't remember now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2017-18 timeframe because the dip happened right, December of 2017 was the top, like towards the end. And then
Yeah, I think I'm looking at it now. It said the 27th of September 2017 was the initial release. So I think I bought it and then I ended up like going down with it to like 98% loss. And then I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to dollar cost average like a couple $100 a week out of my pay at the time. And then I was just buying it every week until the next bull run. And then I didn't sell, watched it go down again, just holding it still.
Damn, you got iron hands, diamond hands, whatever they call it. I'm definitely not that guy. I was a trader beforehand, so I trade legacy markets and then crypto markets and stuff like that. So I was definitely I'm not a day trader. I tried it before, but that's just not for me. That's too much like intensity. Definitely can make some money, but like it's a full-time plus job. And you don't leave it, man. Like people that day trade, like they're in and out of this stuff and it's like in their head all the time. And I couldn't handle that, man. I have too many other things I want to do in life. Like I love getting outdoors and, I've got a family. We go places. I like to do a lot of things and just, trying to do that kind of stuff just really takes away. So now
for me, I think it's more like, would it change my life if I sold it today? So
like we look at it.
In Australia, it's like you pay like capital gains tax. So in the first 12 months, if you sell a crypto, like you've got to be up a fair bit because you're paying 50% in tax for the first 12 months.
Yep.
So like at the time, I think I ended up riding it out and it worked out that if I had a sold, I would have been given like the government maybe $300 and something thousand. And I thought, fuck it, I'm not doing that. So I'm just going to hold it out. If it hits like $5, well, then I'll sell it because, that to me seems like a decent price.
No, it's good. I love the way to look at that. Like, is this going to be, if I sell it now, is this going to put me in a position, different than where I'm at of where I want to be, right? Does that make a difference? So I like that outset. That's good. It's kind of similar in different ways that I look at stuff as well. So it's fun.
Yeah. Well, like if I was in a bind or something, I'd sell anything that I had.
Yeah.
But if I'm not in that position, well, then there's no point.
Yep.
And I want to reduce my taxes, so they get enough out of me. They don't need that as well.
Taxes are not the best. I feel it. I get it.
Well, at least with us, we get the free healthcare. You fellas have to pay for like health insurance, the whole lot. So
yeah, it's not even fun, man. Like I owned a company. I sold it in 2020, and we had at the peak we had like 300 employees, and at that point in time, like we paid for everybody's health insurance through that company as well. And they just kept changing it and changing like what the health insurance was, what it was going to cover, and how much we were going to do. We had to start making our employees start to pay, part of it because it ended up being so much. Now I pay it out of pocket personally for myself and my family, and it's a boatload, man. I don't know how people that don't get it for free somewhere can pay for it. It's ridiculous here. It's really bad.
Yeah, well, like you put aside that, man, you look at car insurance, houses, like property insurance, like it's a big expense.
Hell yeah.
Like I have some rental properties, and like the amount that you're paying out, you got to pay like, for the house itself. If there's anything in there like blinds, all the rest of the stuff or things you want to keep, it's you got to pay more for that insurance as well. And then if someone walks in there and just fucking, wrecks your whole home, well, then you got to have like a landlord's insurance as well.
Oh yeah,
on top. So you're looking at like, for you guys, it's just a crazy amount of money.
I did the landlord thing for a little while. I had a rental, and I was like, nope, I don't want to do that anymore. I sold that sucker. That was just something I didn't want to work with. So.
Well, I've got mates that are into Airbnbs, man, and there's a lot of hassle around having those as well because, you got to keep up the hygiene, all the rest of it, have cleaners in there all the time. And then you get parts where it's not rented out for 3 weeks. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not my cup of tea, man. That's, although my wife, she was talking about that. She wanted to get a little place on the river and put like a little little cabin on it and then rent it out as an Airbnb. And I was like, okay, well, you're going to do it. You're going to be in charge of the whole thing. She's like, well, no, I want your help. I'm like, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, well, you're too busy, man.
I know. It's like when I sold my company in 2020, I was my wife's like, oh, good. So you're going to retire. We'll take some time. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'll take some time, take a little bit of time off. Yeah, I only took like 2 weeks, man. And now I was like, nope, we're doing this. I got started another business and Ford. She wasn't happy with me. Took a little bit, but she's coming around.
So what does she think about you making podcasts and running NerdNode and all the rest of it?
She's like, she loves that I'm happy because I'm just doing what I enjoy, right? And I still make time for family. Like that's my most important. Like normally I won't do these podcasts in the evening, but we had other things that were there, so I was able to kind of make it work out. And then the Faz podcast that I do with him on Thursdays, again, we had something that was already there, so I scheduled that specifically with them. I was like, hey, I can do this with you guys every Thursday, because otherwise, I try to make sure that I have time in the morning with them. I'm always there. I'll take my son to school. My wife and I'll do some things, and I'm there in the evening time, and then during the day I'm doing my work stuff. And then we take a lot of trips, we do a lot of outdoor activities and stuff like that. So that's my first, as long as I'm doing that and dedicating my time there, she just wants me to do what makes me happy. And I love this kind of stuff, man. It's fun just talking with people.
So what's her general vibe though with like magic internet money? Does she understand it at all, or she just thinks it's bullshit?
So it took a while, and a lot of glazed over looks to where it was like, okay, stop talking about this anymore. But when you go to the bank and you try to take out money, right, and they say, oh no, you can't have that, even though it's your money, that was really kind of her turning point as well, of like, well, why can't I get this money out? I'm like, well, technically, like, they probably don't have that cash in the bank, first off, and then two, they control it. Like they're the ones that are going to either say yes or no. Like, she's like, that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, this is why I like Bitcoin, right? This is why I like crypto, like, because I can hold it. Nobody else can come and take it, right? It's mine. Like I can send it to who I want. I can use it when I need it, and then I can deposit in the account. And she's like, okay, well, that makes sense. So that was kind of her turning point there. As I start to talk about like NerdNode and getting into like the deeper side of crypto, she just she's kind of like, whatever, you're making money, great. That's all I care about at that point. So
yeah, well, it's always better to explain when it's in a bull market as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah. She's like, although I need,
I run it.
Yeah, that though is like it's a different world, man. Those bull markets they're frothy, right? And I tell this to people all the time, it's the toughest. Taking profit is always the toughest thing ever, right? Because you just always think it's going to go up all the time. Like it's going to go up, and then it starts to go down, and then you're like, oh, we're still going to go up. And it's the toughest. It is the toughest thing in my eyes if you're ever looking at it, because I live off of crypto, right? Like that's really where I'm getting my money from, is my investments that I put in and I take out. And so I have to be conscious of where I'm at and how I'm, allocating money and stuff like that. So for us, it was definitely a fun time, but also a very interesting time trying to, quell the excitement, quell the just the inner side of, FOMOing and or, wanting to make sure we took enough profits. So. Yeah, but she was good. She's there for me to kind of, listen to what I'm saying, and then kind of be my grounding person of like, okay, well, we have this, and it's kind of like you said, like, we can take this, and this is great because this sets us up for what we need. We don't need anything else, so let's not worry about trying to go the extra mile. And so I was like, okay, you're right. Okay, let's take this out. So she's there for me, like, to kind of be the little voice in my ear, right? So that's great.
Yeah. Well, if you're used to trading as well, man, like for me, it's almost like I've got a connection with the shit that I own now. It's like hard for me to sell. It's almost like trying to get rid of a dog or something like that. You know what I mean?
You're like, so, you love it. Married to that bag, right? You're like,
yeah. Like if my wife wants to annoy me, all she's got to do is start talking about selling my Cardano. And then I'm just, I can't deal with this. It's like, you might as well take my dog to the RSPCA and put it down. So I'm emotionally invested.
That's funny. She just holds your hardware wallet over the sink. She's just kind of like, all right, This is what you got. This is it. You guys better listen to me. Cardano's going down the drain.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't make a good argument, man, when it dumps. So lucky this time around, it hasn't really dropped that much.
Yeah, this was an interesting one. This bear market's definitely been, there's some similarities, but a lot of new stuff with the sharing of everybody's money with all these FTX and Alameda and all that kind of crap. So it's been definitely interesting. So.
Well, if you look at the top 10, like even the top 20 cryptos, man, like how many of them have, acquired so many different, like Gala really, for how much utility it has in the market, is doing way more than most of the cryptos in the top 10 or 20.
100%. Oh, 100%, man. And that's the thing I try to tell people all the time. Most of the time, it doesn't matter what they do and what the underlying value of that crypto is. They're all going to follow Big Daddy Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin's down, they're all going to go down with them, right? And altcoins are usually going to go another 20, 30, 40, 50% lower than what Bitcoin's going. So you've got to understand that it is ran by Bitcoin. Now, I do think there's an opportunity for that to change with a lot more utility coming across all of the ecosystems, from Ethereum to Sol, Arbitrum, AVAX. There's a lot of, and gaming, I think, is one of the biggest. That's why I love it so much. Is I think one of the best use cases for NFTs and crypto is in the gaming side, and so I think we could potentially see some decoupling from the top tier cryptos and some altcoins that really show use case. So.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that sold it for me, man, because I was sort of getting sick of crypto in general. It just become boring. And when they started coming out with NFTs, I was just like, didn't understand it at all. I'm like, why the fuck do I want to buy a picture, like a JPEG? And like I ended up having someone that offered me in the early days like 350 USD for a Bored Ape, and I said no thanks. Like this was back when it wasn't worth shit. So like I do kick myself over that, but it's all hindsight. But it's the thing is, man, it's like, if you look at Fortnite, I think they've made like $3 billion in 1 year or something like that. It was like 1.5 to 3 billion they made on skins for a game, and you don't own the actual in-game assets at all.
Was it really that much?
Yeah, it's like 1.5 to $3 billion a year in skins. Damn. And once I started looking into that sort of stuff, and then I heard about Gala, and I was just like, well, fuck, like how else could it be? Like it couldn't not be this.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? Because you want to own your in-game items.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was me. That was the same thing, man. Like owning the in-game assets for cryptocurrency. Actually, I talked with McCarthy, so I know McCarthy's best friend. That's how I found out about Gala, right? So we were talking to McCarthy back in 2017, before all this was happening. We're like, dude, gaming is like one of the best ideas for NFTs and that kind of stuff. We were chatting about it over a beer a long time ago. So, we had our eyes on this, a long time ago with what's going to happen. And now we're just seeing these gaming companies and people come in and start to put the effort into it. So we're still early.
Yeah, we are still early, man. Well, that's like what I was saying before with Fortnite. Like if you want your friend to play your account, that's almost like a permaban. Like if they find out that the IP addresses have changed or the rest of it, you could spend $500-600 on skins, and it's really not worth anything because they can ban it whenever they want. Yep. Ban that account. So I think like as far as utility, like Gala has a lot of utility.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other crypto projects are just literal shit coins.
100%, dude. There's, 90% of them out there, probably 99% really are, there's no real, back to them. There's not a lot that's there. And we saw that with this last run. You saw everybody was trying to do nodes, right? You had strong nodes, which was, a Ponzi, and I don't know. There's a bunch of other random node systems that came out trying to capture the yield, right? And that to me was just this big red flag. I was like, well, how are you getting yield? You have to have something that's producing some income to give this yield. And they weren't getting enough income from the fees to produce the amount of yield that they were giving out to everybody. And as you just mapped out everything that they were saying, we did a whole report on this on the strong nodes because we had some people that are like, oh, what about strong? What about strong? And it was just this round robin of money, and those are the things that you see, the Ponzi schemes, right? Where's the money coming in from the outside? Otherwise, you're just really rotating this money around, and ultimately, that's what crypto was doing with FTX and Alameda and all this stuff. Anyway, all this money was just getting passed around from this company to this company, lended out to all these different companies, and all of a sudden it's gone, and now it's like, oh shit, everybody's going under. So
Yeah.
just scams on scams, and it's just gross, man. I dislike that. So.
Well, even on OpenSea, man, looking at some NFT projects, if you look at their earlier days, because sometimes I just get bored and start looking at wallets, like it will be like 8 different accounts, and it's just rotating it to get the volume up.
Yep.
So they'll get the volume up, get their blue tick from OpenSea.
Yep.
And then they're verified project, and then you get real people come in, throw money at it. But that 400 ETH in volume is just absolute bullshit. It's just from one account, just rotating it around.
99% of those Bored Apes was the same way. Just rotated around, and that's, again, you still see that today with a lot of the new projects. That's the funny one. We haven't seen a blue chip NFT project come out in a while, right? And you think about the top ones like your Basie and your Azukis and whatnot that's out there. I think Pudgy Penguins and stuff. So you haven't seen another one come out in a while. I think because there's a lot more people watching that wallet rotation, right? And what was the one? It was the Owl project. It was Owl something. Oh shit! But that was one that was like complete scam, but somehow got a bunch of volume, got the blue check mark right away, and it was just seemed weird, man. There's a lot of those out there.
So another question going down a different path. What do you think about GalaGames with its pivot to mobile?
I think it's the best thing that they could do, honestly. This is something that I know a lot of people were talking about in there, is that you go mobile. 50% of gamers right now are mobile. So one of the things that they need is they need gamers. So great. This is probably the best thing that they could do, is they ultimately, instead of buying other aspects in their space, they bought gamers essentially. So if they advertise it correctly and bring it to them, they're essentially going to be able to port those over into the Gala ecosystem. So realistically, one of the best things they ever could have done in my eyes. So
I've been playing the Dragon Strike, man, and it's actually pretty fun. At first, I thought it was repetitive, but as you end up playing more through it, you need to be more specific where you match your colors, because you want to kill a specific target, or you want to, you got to make sure that all your stuff's upgraded properly when you're going to, if you've got a hero that does a heal and you got to connect up as many blues gems as you can, it adds that depth of difficulty in the game.
Yep.
So I've really been enjoying that, man. I didn't actually see it at first. I think I had to clear maybe 3 or 4 different lands, and then once I started getting higher up through the ranks, it's more difficult.
Same way,
Have
man.
You played it?
Yeah, I've actually been playing it lately too, because I just got into it, and I was like, it's not just your gem match game. There's much more to it, and we internally did a little more research on it and how it kind of went about. And I've been the same thing. Once you get up in level, then it takes more of that strategy to it, and you really have to think about what you're doing, and it's not just match 3 and go about it, right? It's definitely has some complexity. I do like it. It's enjoyable. So I haven't gotten into the Meow match yet, though. So
yeah, my wife's playing Meow match. I'm not really into that one myself, but I'm not a cats person. If they had dogs, maybe I might play that one.
Yeah, I'm a dog.
But I seen Gala the other day ended up putting a post, and they put on Twitter what sort of game genre essentially would you like to see, and I ended up putting down RTS games, something like StarCraft 2.
Okay.
And it ended up getting a fair few likes on it, because there really hasn't been that good of an RTS, man, since StarCraft. So
never played it. My roommate in college played it a lot. He liked that genre. I've always been a first person shooter from the days of GoldenEye. That was just kind of my wheelhouse. And I just love it. I play Apex a lot right now. So, and it's that's my wheel. I just enjoy it. It's kind of like what I like to do. So, and I'll play these games the iPhone games here and there. I like Spider Tanks. I like the idea of that, but really that's a mobile game in my eyes. It should really be mobile. It's a lot
Yeah.
like some of those Supercell kind of games that they have out there. So, yeah.
Well, they are putting that on mobile, aren't they?
Oh, they've been saying that for a
Spider
while.
tanks.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I seen like a screenshot or something like where you could see someone putting their finger on there how it's going to work. Like I'm not a mobile gamer, man. So like the first game that I've ever played for mobile, believe it or not, was that Dragon Strike.
Get out of here! Really?
Because I've just never been into.
You didn't even have like a game
all.
that you would go and take a shit and just be in there, just kind of messing around with.
Well, that's what Twitter's for me. So
yeah, there you go. Twitter's your toilet game. I got it.
Yeah. When I first got into socials, it was like MySpace, I think it was called. And I thought that was pretty cool because you could throw like a song on there and when people go to your page, they can listen to it.
Yeah.
But like Facebook, I never got into that. I sort of just like missed that whole Facebook craze and then just went straight to Twitter.
Yeah, I was.
So that's my addiction.
Yeah. So MySpace, I was there. Didn't get into it. Facebook started it and just kind of got out of it quick. I didn't like it too much. And then Twitter's just kind of my wheelhouse. I got into Twitter just because of news. Like I could follow certain people and get actual news and not, turn on the biased news that we have here in the States. That's always one-sided, one way. So.
Yeah, well, I think that's like more of a universal thing now, man. It's all,
yeah,
that seems to be the way it's all going.
Yeah.
I know that I use like a lot of Rumble now because YouTube censors a lot of stuff.
Yep.
So I usually go over there.
Yeah, I'm there a little bit too. Like I said, I'm Twitter though too. Same thing. That's kind of my go-to, one way or the other. So,
well, the difference, man, between like Elon Musk buying it and what it used to be, like it's night and day now.
Yep, I know a lot of people don't like it. They were like upset with it, but man, I've had a completely different experience with my side. It's been great. So, been enjoying it.
Yeah, well, what did people say? Too much free speech isn't free speech or some bullshit, and I'm like, what are they even going on about? So
double.
Like, I don't get into the politics and all that sort of shit. I'm more like make your own choices, like small government, as little interaction, I just don't want them in my life. You know what I mean?
Yep, I'm with you. Same boat, man. Just let people live their lives as long as they're not hurting my family or my friends. Do what you want to do. I don't care. Whatever.
So what did you reckon about the spy balloon?
I couldn't believe I was reading that. Actually, I was like, spy balloon. I'm like, first off, I'm surprised it didn't get shot down over, somewhere earlier on. Like they had to have known it was coming through for ages. So I don't know what the whole game plan was because they waited until it went all the way across the U.S. and then shot it down over the Atlantic, right? And so, I mean, they could have shot it down before he even got over land. Like what's happening? I know my friend of mine from high school, actually, he's in the Air Force and, we're on the Pacific coast over here. And so they do runs and they do security of stuff all over the place. He's like, we know everything that's coming in and out. Right. So they knew that balloon was coming over here. So it actually reminded me of, I think it was World War II or World War I, World War II. Where the Japanese sent balloons with bombs on them from Japan over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, read about it, dude. It's very interesting, and like I think maybe one person died from it, but they were like small little bombs that were just kind of like they floated over here. I had to read back to it again, but when I was thinking about this one, it reminded me of that, and so this is from way back in the day, so World War II time frame. So I have to pull that up. I'll post it on Twitter. And all
right, cool, that'll be good. I remember seeing it, man, and like they were saying spy balloon, but they wouldn't actually show proper pictures of it. And I was thinking that there must have been like a few people in there, like in a basket sort of thing. And like that's the reason why they're not shooting it down. And then once I seen the balloon and I realized what was on it, and it's just like a big data relay or whatever it was sitting underneath it.
Yeah.
I was like, well, who gives a fuck if you shoot that down? As long as it's not over civilians' houses, like just shoot it down anywhere you can.
Yeah, and it was over Montana, the whole north end of America, and there's only like 10 people. That whole place. I mean, Montana and North Dakota, there ain't nobody up there. They could have shot it down 10 times over.
I'm actually surprised that none of the civilians actually just shot it down, but I don't really know much about guns and range and stuff. Maybe it was too high, but
Yeah, it's way too high.
I thought that you would have had something.
It was way too high. I'm sure there was some people that were shooting at it. I think in Montana, some like the sheriffs like put out, or the state police put out, like, don't shoot at it. It's like 60,000 feet in the air. Your rifle's not even going to reach there. And so when you shoot that thing up, it's going to come right back down. So but I'm sure there's a bunch of rednecks out there that were doing it, drinking a couple beers and went out and, oh, there it is. Let's shoot it.
Well, with resolution with cameras now, man, like back in the day, it could only go so far and it would be pixelated. Now they zoom it in, you wouldn't think it was more than 100 feet off the ground. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. The cameras now are insane, dude. Like I love hunting. I love the outdoors. And I actually would love to go with my buddies, even if I don't have a tag to get an animal. And I'll take the camera, and I'll take a spotting scope, and like I can zoom in on these things from so far away that they can't, the animal doesn't know we're there. We can't shoot it because it's too far away. Right. And but you're just getting these great pictures and watching these animals go around. It's pretty awesome.
That's cool, man. So
yeah.
So was that gun hunting or like bows and stuff like that?
I do both. So we'll do some gun hunting over on the east side of Oregon. I'm in Oregon over here, so we have some beautiful mountain ranges and a lot of wildlife. But I got into hunting a long time ago for the food. Like I love to cook too, and like eat healthy, really good food. And there's nothing better than some free range animals. And so I got into
that's cool.
So, but yeah, I'll bow hunt too, and rifle hunt, doing both.
So do you use a recurve bow or just a compound?
So I use compound. I actually got a recurve. So a few years ago, I got in touch with a bunch of recurve guys that were here in Oregon they're big on, like, they call them trad bows, traditional bows. And I'll tell you what, that's a totally different experience. I've only taken one shot with a trad bow at an animal, missed it completely, thank God. But it was like you have to get so close, and you have to. I mean, it's a different type of hunting, and I do enjoy it. And I definitely want to do it a little bit more, because you get so close, you're like intimate with the creature, right? You have to know like which way the wind's going, what the smells like, what your sounds like, what's happening, around you, and where you're stepping, and just really kind of know what's happening. So you're really in the environment, and it's a really fun. I just enjoy the whole process. So.
Yeah, that is cool, man. One of my mates in America, we both know him, but I won't mention his name on here now. But he's into the slingshot guns, so it shoots like small little pebble sort of things.
Just like a slingshot.
Yeah, it's like a slingshot, but it looks like it's like a gun, but like you pull it and then you got to pull it back and all the rest of it. But like he was showing me the sort of stuff you can do with them, man, and they're actually quite lethal. Like I don't know if it would like knock something big out, but like birds or smaller game, probably knock them around a bit.
Yeah, we'll when we do some camping and stuff, we'll do some trapping, and we'll do some slingshots. Just they don't look like guns, but just kind of handle like an old school slingshot. And we'll get squirrels and some birds, and we'll eat those up and stuff. My son and I, we've done it before with some friends, so it's pretty fun. But
yeah, well, I know a lot of you guys talk about fuck going to Australia because of all the poisonous shit we got here, but I tell you right now, I'd rather deal with anything we have than a fucking grizzly bear. 100%.
It's funny you say that, because that's the one thing. Well, there's two things that I'm not really scared of wolves. I've seen wolves. I don't want to get next to them, like, and just like try to go pet them or anything. But cougars, that's the one thing here that like scares me, because they're so damn quiet. You don't know they're there, and if they want you, like, they're gonna get you. Like, they're silent killers, man. Grizzlies, I've never been in grizzly country. We have black bears here, so. And they're just scared of you. Like, if you see a black bear, you're lucky, because it's like they're super skittish, and they're just long gone. Like, they're not even around. So you don't really have to worry about black bears. But grizzlies, I've heard some pretty gnarly stories. So, but none around here.
Oh, I was watching a guy like on YouTube. Like, he had a single barrel shotgun, I think it was, and the bear was running at him, and then he was sort of just like holding it at him. It was almost like the bear knew that he had a gun. So like he'd run up to him and then like pretty much turn back and then come back again and kept doing it.
Yep.
And he didn't shoot it at all, because I think someone in the chat said it was probably buckshot. And that wouldn't be enough to be able to do much to it unless it was close.
Piss him off.
And I was like watching it, man. I'm like, fuck, like that. Like he was so calculated, the guy though. Like he stayed calm. Like you could hear him deep breathing. Like how couldn't you? But
Yeah.
like he just stayed focused on what he was doing and didn't pull the trigger. But yeah, I couldn't do that, man. I think I'd just have a heart attack and become bear food.
Yeah, they'll do that. They call them false charges. Like the bears will do that, and they'll run at and then like kind of run back away and just kind of, it's more of a scare tactic. Like a bear, if it's going to charge you, it's going to charge you. Like, so once it starts to do the false charge, you're usually okay. You just got to stand your ground like that guy was probably doing, and just be a little bit loud and kind of like, keep him at bay. So with a single barrel shotgun, you only got one shot too. So if you piss him off, you're done. So
yeah, well, if you're dealing with a boar or something, like they're not going to care if you shoot or not. They just charge at you. So
yeah. Now there's definitely some scary stuff. So
well, I don't know. Like if we hit on too many things, man, we're having some issues with it, and that sort of threw me a little bit. But where's the best place to find you, man? Like as far as like NerdNode, is that just nerdnode.com?
It's nerdnode.io. Is NerdNode's there. Everything else for ForgedInCrypto, it's at ForgedInCrypto, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or Twitter, all those at ForgedInCrypto. So yeah, I got a Discord. It's kind of locked down right now. If people are interested, I have to send them an NFT. We're doing a lot of internal stuff there for providing access to a lot of our research. So we're actually putting everything on in Gitbook, and so we get into really deep research on a lot of these projects. So through there, people can come in there, kind of look at that stuff. So that's what we're doing.
I do have a question that just come to mind. So
Yeah.
like we've run in the node, man. Like you got the NFT lottery system essentially. Like if they drop new NFTs for anyone that's not listening, well then it goes to a lottery system essentially, and then goes out to the nodes. So with that sort of stuff like that, does that affect that system at all, or does it go into a pool for you and then you do it yourself?
Nope, it's your own node. So all we're doing is getting access to be able to run your node for you. So it's still tied to your account. So you're the one that's in the pool. So it's all into your account. We don't get any distributions at all from any of these. So flat fee paid to NerdNode, and then it's just all we're doing is just taking the work away from you, and then you just collect your stuff.
So one last question about it, man. How angry are you when they fuck up the Docker or something like that? Considering you're doing this nodes,
I don't normally get too angry at things because it just doesn't. I used to be a really angry person over the years, just kind of calm myself down because normally things just kind of work out right after a time frame. You go, and as long as nobody's trying to do anything purposely, as long as they're not trying to purposely screw me over or my family over, I'm fine. I usually don't get upset, and we can work things out. So the Docker issue was definitely frustrating. But we worked through the issue, and we're waiting for the next issue. There'll always be something else that'll come along, but we'll be ready.
So out of all the games that are coming out, though, man, like sorry, I just keep thinking of questions I wanted to ask you.
Go ahead, man.
You said that you're into FPS games. Like, is Miranda still one of the main games you're looking forward to, or?
Okay, so I was never huge. I'm going to play Mirandus. Like I said, I know McCarthy. I'm going to have fun with Mirandus, but I'm not going to be the guy that plays Mirandus all the time. Like I'll get in there and have fun here and there. In terms of GalaGames with FPS stuff, I'm Last Expedition. But there's a new game that we just found internally, and it's called Shrapnel. We did a little kind of we put a little what do we call it, infographic out on it just recently. That's one that looks pretty freaking badass. Like it's got a team behind it, a really good team. They got a lot of money backing it, and they got some they got their first NFT drop that they're coming out with soon. I don't know. That's what I'm looking forward to. I think that one's gonna be really cool.
So were you disheartened at all when everyone got rid of, like, pretty much voted against that faster game?
It was a weird one because it was yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that one for sure. Actually, I just found out when we did the podcast with Faz and Playable that they were a part of that whole like getting faster into the Gala ecosystem. So, anyways, I was excited to have an FPS shooter, but it just, I don't know. I was down. I was in something else, so it really didn't kind of bother me too much. So,
yeah. Oh, that's fair enough, man. Well, thanks for coming on anyway, man. And if you don't mind hanging around for 5-10, because this thing has to upload on both ends.
Yeah, dude. No problem. I'm here.
I'd love to have you on again sometime.
Just let me know. We'll make it work, dude. It was good talking to you.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
Yep. Take care, man.